Jumper, coolest podcast in the world. And today I've got a much requested fan favorite, the young Kevin Abstract, in here in the studio. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm okay. Is that true? People really request me.
You don't believe that?
That's cool.
You don't trust your own fan base? Is that what you're telling me here?
I mean, I see people do it, but I don't know if you see it.
I see it.
That's tight.
That's why I think a lot of underground rappers end up hating me, because they know that they see it all the time of people requesting their interviews, and if I don't respond to it, then they just are like, oh, cool, you've seen 100 fucking tweets this month and you didn't acknowledge it. All right, cool. But it's hard. It's hard to stay on top of that. But I've been a fan of you for a while, because I was up on the whole Brockhampton and V-Files video when that shit came out, because of my friend Danielle at V-Files. She told me all about you guys and said I needed to check it out way early on.
Yeah, we remember seeing your comment. HK pointed it out. Yeah.
You got what?
We got hype. We were like, we're about to get that no jumper.
That's tight, yeah, and here we are all these fucking years later. But what was, I guess we got to go back before we could start talking about that kind of stuff. So you're originally from Corpus Christi?
Yeah, that's where I went to school, elementary school.
But where were you born?
I was born in Corpus Christi as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so what was the upbringing like out there?
Boring, very boring. Everything was the same. People kind of just sucked, and I was very different from most people.
Right. But
so I kind of stuck to myself until I found my little group of friends.
Right. So what age do you start to feel like you met people that were on the same wavelength as you?
Maybe 6th grade.
6th grade.
That's
okay.
Around the same time I started recording. Around the same time I met most of my friends online. So.
Did you grow up with music in the household?
Yeah, for the most part. Maybe in the background. But
okay.
It was kind of
But your parents weren't pushing it down your throat or anything? Were they involved in music at all?
No, not at all.
What are your parents into? Feel free to acknowledge how boring your parents are, because my parents, if I were to answer that, my parents are pretty boring too.
Yeah, pretty, I wouldn't say, just normal middle class American shit.
Mm-hmm. So they didn't push you to get into the arts necessarily? What kind of stuff did they have you doing
really.
As a kid?
It's crazy. I wanted to play sports, but my mom never let me.
She didn't let you?
Nah.
Well,
yeah.
she's just scared.
It's not that she didn't let me. She just never put me in when I asked.
I told you this fucking shit was going to happen. This cat
it.
will not stop getting on camera. He does. This is the 4th interview in a row that he's just felt the need to fuck up by getting his fat, white, privileged ass out of here. Go away. I bet he'll do it again, too. I promise you he's going to do it again. Okay, so your parents didn't want you to get into sports, or what was it?
It's not that they didn't want me. They just never happened.
Oh, really? See, my parents had me into sports, and I fucking hated sports, and it was just the bane of my existence. I wanted to be in my room playing video games, listening to Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, I hear that kind of story a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. It would be a tough choice now, though, because I feel parents are so terrified of fucking head injuries for their kids and stuff. I asked my sister, would you let your son play football? And she's like, fuck no. And I was like, man, that's weird. It's a weird time we live in.
That's the one sport my parents never let me play.
They wouldn't let you play football?
I played football for 1 year, and it was fun. But looking back now, after all the shit that has come out about concussions and all that, I'm like, yo, mom, thank you so much for not letting me play football.
Exactly, right? That's really scary.
Yeah.
You wouldn't let your kid go be a boxer when he was fucking 10, right?
I want to when I have kids, I'm not gonna let them play football.
Yeah. If I had kids, I'm gonna lock them in a fucking dungeon in the basement. Anyway, so around 6th grade, you start to meet people that that you have something in common with. How did you start to meet people online and shit?
MySpace. I was on there early then, I guess, for my age.
Yeah,
because everyone else on there, I was 11. Yeah.
Yeah. And your parents were just letting you go online and stuff. They didn't realize how dangerous it was.
Yeah, they didn't know what I was doing.
Really? And so, what were the early hangouts? Just MySpace, and were you using it as a music service for the most part?
Yeah. I actually started off by chopping and screwing songs.
Ah, okay.
And I would make little CDs and sell them around school.
That's what Mike G from Odd Future said right here and said too. That's how he kind of got his start.
Yeah, I used to do that and played around the FL Studio a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And then I finally started recording myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so was your original work indicative of what you've gone on to do, or what kind of music were you making then?
I just wanted to sound like Kanye.
Yeah. For a lot of people your age, it's probably a pretty common sentiment. But what was it about Kanye that stood out to you so much?
He was different, and I identified with what was unique about him, I guess.
What, that he was just like willing to push boundaries and just.
Or just the fact that he stuck out when everybody else was like doing something that, seemed the same.
Right.
To me as an 11-year-old.
Because you're.
And he also seemed extremely like focused.
Right. What are you, 23 or something?
I wish.
24, 25?
I'm 20.
20? Oh, shit. How am I guessing older? Why am I going older here? I forget.
That's cool.
I don't know. Yeah. You got an old soul. I don't know. But so wait, what was like the era where you got into Kanye? Were you like listening to his like current output at a certain point, and was there a certain album that really like hit you on the head?
Yeah, well, in the 4th grade, I was super into Will Smith.
Right. Okay.
And I was like, that was my idol. And my sister was always talking about Kanye West, and I was always like begging her to play Will Smith over Kanye, but she wouldn't do that at all.
What did you like about Will Smith so much more than Kanye? That's like a very interesting comparison point.
Well, I guess that's
two.
because I wanted to be an actor at first.
Oh, okay.
And I thought Will Smith was so tight, so like I learned everything about him, realized he was a rapper at first, and then like that was my favorite shit.
But did it ever occur to you that maybe like his whole his output as a rapper was like a little bit fake, or that maybe it never felt like fake to you at a point?
It just felt fun.
Fun, yeah, for
know?
sure, it's fun.
Yeah.
But then Kanye's like the opposite. It's like oftentimes not fun.
Yeah, Kanye's like way more polarizing.
Yeah, and he's representing every emotion.
Very emotional.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Were you an 808 and Heartbreaks guy?
110%.
Well, that was like a few years after you got into him, or?
Yeah, I mean, I followed. Like I remember anticipating graduation September
Right.
11th. So
Yeah.
shit, I sound like a Ye stan right now.
No, that's cool. You were on Kanye too, right?
110%.
Was that when you were super young, or was that a little bit older?
Yeah, I was on there when I was like Kanye Talk, Kanye Live,
Right,
and I
okay.
saw it go to Kanye to the so.
Right. And what were the like sections? Because I've like always kind of observed that people would point me to threads, be like, "Look, they're talking about you here. There's like this
Yeah.
thread." What was like the area you were hanging out with on there?
Creative Showcase. I feel like
okay.
it had a different name when I was younger. I forgot though, but
But what? It's a section for people to like show their work
yeah, exactly. And
Oh.
that's how I met like all my friends
in Texas, or you mean people all over the country?
all over the country.
Really?
And outside of the country.
Wow. And so from an early age, you were like, what, making connections and learning about, and what, finding people to make music with, or just to
I would
talk
just
about
ask
it with?
questions. Like if someone had a song and it sounded a certain way, I would like ask them what kind of equipment they were using or what program.
Right.
And I just learned a lot through that.
Yeah. Do you feel like, are you still on there? You still look at it?
I check from time to time to see what people are saying about me, which probably isn't like the most healthy thing to do.
But
so.
do they acknowledge you a lot? Is it like, oh, this is one of us that made it?
Yeah, people say that. It's cool. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's very crazy because I was like on there heavy.
Right.
You know?
Like really heavy?
Heavy.
I was a message board kid, hardcore.
Yeah, I loved forums, man.
But it's weird how they kind of have like ceased to be super important because people are so social media'd out now, huh?
Yeah, Twitter's crazy.
But do you love Twitter the way that you used to love Kanye to the?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah, like the way I look at Twitter obsessively, like every morning and every night now, is like the same exact way that I used to be with message boards, where I was just constantly fucking
You have to check it.
have to see what's going on.
Right.
Twitter is so much more organized in comparison, even though it is a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Because you just have to sit there for like hours going through all these different pages and pages of threads, and it's just a fucking nightmare.
I kind of like the endless scroll thing, though.
Yeah,
Just, like,
endless scroll, exactly. Forums probably should have had that from the beginning. You ever meet girls on there?
on forums.
Yeah.
Actually, I did. I met this girl named Amy. She was cool.
Were you like super young?
Yeah.
And she catfished you?
No, she was like a big Kanye fan.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's dope. I think like some of my earliest memories of meeting girls that did not look like they claimed that they looked were on message boards when I was like 12. And that was very eye-opening, revealing experience for me. I don't know. But, all right, so you're on Kanye you're making music, you're on MySpace and stuff, and like, did you meet anybody in particular that was super important to getting your shit together, like through this online stuff that you were doing, or what?
Yeah, I met this guy, CJ, the Genesis.
Oh.
And he was like a mentor, and he helped me so much just with recording and stuff. So I met him when I was like 11 or 12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he just like what kind of started to get you going in the right direction?
Yeah, we would just have talks, and he pointed me in the right direction. Yeah.
Uh-huh. When you were a kid, did you know that Nas wrote Miami for Will Smith?
I
forgot to
found
say that
out in
before.
middle school.
Did it hurt
I
you?
think. Did it hurt me? No, I thought it was kind of tight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See-
it was crazy, but that was kind of tight.
You always kind of understood that there were people writing shit for other people, or at least Will
Yeah,
Smith.
I didn't make like a. Yeah, it made sense. It made sense to me.
Yeah, makes sense for me too. It's kind of crazy these days. It feels like the hip hop world's finally having to figure that out. But at that time, like I knew that when I was really, really young, and I felt like I had just held like the biggest secret ever
Right.
to Will Smith.
I mean, there'll be times where I write a song, like just myself, and then there's times where it'll be like 5 of us in the room, and we kind of like all write it together, even though it's only me recording the track. So.
But rap used to be like so hard headed and like stuck in its ways that it was kind of like, oh, there's only one way for a song to come together. And
Right.
It's weird how we've all had to like kind of accept it, that that's changed and that it probably was never really like that in the first place.
Right.
Yeah. So when did you start working with people like in real life on music? Or was that like much later?
Yeah, it's probably when I moved out of my sister's apartment when I was 17.
Okay.
So.
But so how was the whole high school experience? Because all your music is sort of like based around like how shitty high school is and how miserable you were, right?
Yeah.
Not all, but quite
For the most part.
Many
Yeah.
themes that represent that. Yeah.
100%.
So was it just a really like miserable experience, high school in particular?
Yeah, just a lot, of self-discovery.
Right.
And just trying to piece things together that I didn't really understand. So
Right.
that was like the 4 years of my life.
Are we talking about anything outside of your sexuality, or was that
I
like
think-
the main thing that was kind of hard for you to deal with at the time?
I think everything. Like just from school, from moving around, family, friends. It was weird.
Oh, you were moving around a lot in high school though?
Yeah, I lived in the Woodlands, Texas from 14 to 15, and then I moved to Georgia. It was weird.
And what, were you just not fitting in when you would like go to a different school? Was it even harder for you to find friends?
It just took me a while to find friends, but eventually I like found the people that I could hang out with, and
Right.
kind of made my way.
So can we talk about the whole sexuality thing? Were you really dating a quarterback in high school?
No.
No, so that's mostly fictitious from the new song?
Well, I mean, it's just about someone having a secret and not wanting anyone else to know about it.
Right.
And that is definitely something I had to deal with when I was 15.
15. So was there like one guy in particular that there was this situation with?
100%, yeah.
Okay. And so is this somebody you've like spoken about in your music before, or is like, because this most recent song to me, is this like the fastest that you've had a song kind of blow up on the internet too? Because I feel like it's like kind of
definitely
a weird
is.
viral thing that's going on with it right now.
Yeah, this is my biggest thing so far.
Right.
I'm super proud of it.
Yeah, was there the album too? I guess we're gonna have to just talk about this album too, American Boyfriend. So
Yeah.
that's the only song out from it so far.
Yeah, well, Echo too.
Oh, okay, that's on it too
Yeah.
officially.
Yeah.
How many songs is this?
Not too sure.
Okay.
Not sure yet.
But how many years have you been working on this? Because it seems like
About
it's
2 years.
yeah, and you're just slaving away to try to make this like the perfect fucking project from you.
Yeah, as perfect as I can make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, all right. Well, let's talk about this too. Is like, at what point does Brockhampton become a thing out of high school?
Well, that happened. Okay. Well, yeah, when I was 17.
Okay, so you're
So
still
right
in
after
high
high
school.
school. Right after.
Oh,
high
right
school,
after.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, how do you meet all these guys?
We were in a group prior called Alive Since Forever. We made some really bad music. Like really bad.
Do you look back at all your like early works and are you kind of embarrassed, or is it just this stuff?
Yeah, it's not embarrassing. It's just, I guess it is because I'd like choose to take it off and take it down, but
Right. Yeah, I noticed your SoundCloud doesn't go back super far.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You got to trim that down at a certain point, right?
I think so.
Especially because like now you have like way more people looking at your stuff, probably like brand new fans.
Yeah.
You don't want them to think like, oh, I got to dig deep and find out about stuff that
Yeah.
you're not as proud of.
And it's cool if you like really dig deep and you find like the super old stuff, but I just don't want to have it there for you like at display
Right.
on my end, you know.
Because on your SoundCloud especially, you could flick down real quick and all of a sudden you're 2 years back.
Right.
So it's kind of,
Right.
you could flick down and be 5 years back if you kept stuff on there.
Exactly.
Wait, so how do you start working with all these dudes in Brockhampton? And you were in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And were you were too?
Yeah.
All right, good. This is like a huge, what is it, like 8 people at a certain point?
It started with like 30 people or
30?
something. It was
Holy shit,
ridiculous.
this is a wild
It was just a
concept.
bunch of people that knew they wanted to do something but couldn't really like figure it out. Had no sense of direction. So
And is this all from Corpus?
man, no, it was like
Oh.
he's from Connecticut, he's from Florida. So
Okay, so everybody that you kind of met online, you just sort of.
yeah, and there were some people I met in school that were like super talented, and I wanted to work with them in this group as well. So
Were you always kind of the ringleader of this whole thing, or?
yeah,
And that what you just sort of like took the lead on like bringing a crew together? Was there anybody in particular that kind of influenced you to try to get that sort of thing going?
Tyler, the creator.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So when Odd Future came out, what were you? What was the appeal to you? Were you like a huge fan?
Die Hard, yeah.
Yeah.
I was 14 years old, and that was like the coolest shit ever to me.
Right.
So,
You guys are nodding like you completely agree too. That was a huge effect.
Huge fans.
Yeah. So tell me about it. Tell me about like, because it's weird for me because I was like, I'm 24. Like I was like a full grown adult looking at this shit and just being like, yo, this is sick as fuck. Like, because I had never seen a kid like Tyler like come out there representing for his like fucking small little skater crew like that,
Right,
you know?
right.
And it was like super inspirational for me too. But had you guys never seen anybody that kind of seemed like you were pulling off that exact vibe before?
yeah, I mean,
It's just like, I think with someone like Tyler and the rest of our future, it's like a certain window you have to catch them in. And for us being like 14, 15, 16 years old, it was so tight seeing somebody so comfortable with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so just like, this is me, take it or leave it. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
And so many people growing up all struggle with that. Like, he was talking about like self-identity.
Yeah.
We're always like, I don't know who I am as a person yet. Like, are these the people I really want to be friends with and whatnot? And out comes this guy, and he's just so loud and he's so sure of himself. And
Right. Completely weird as fuck. Completely different than like the average guy
Yeah.
in LA or whatever, but he's so proud and like so doesn't seem
And
concerned
it was so,
at all.
It was
Yeah.
so reassuring to see that, because it's like, you know what? If he can like do all this awesome shit by 100% being himself, then like I can do that too.
Right. In like
Yeah.
2010, we hadn't seen that many weird black kids in the rap world. You know,
Right.
like it was sort of still a black rapper was expected to fit into like a more specific box at that time, and that's what I think is like impact is probably gonna stick with fucking so many people for so long.
100%.
Yeah. Shout out to Tyler, one of the greats. So okay, they kind of formed this group, and like, what do you guys start doing together? Just putting together projects, or how did Brockhampton unfold? And what's the name mean, by the way?
It's a street I lived on in Corpus.
Okay.
So I just thought it sounded really pretty. So I
Uh-huh.
ended up like using it for the group. But yeah, we worked on my project, MTV 1987.
Yeah.
And from there, we kind of just like followed that blueprint for the rest of the Brockhampton like work. And yeah. And prior to that, we made a bunch of projects though, like in the group ASF. So
Right. But so you guys not like really record as like, or do you plan on putting out more stuff under the Brockhampton name?
like right now,
Yeah.
yeah, whenever the time is right.
But is it like weird for you to focus on doing that as well as trying to do your own solo career stuff?
Not really. We just, whenever we're inspired, we go off that. We build off that.
Right. Interesting. So, at this point, wait. So, okay, you're doing the Brockhampton thing for a while and stuff. How do you start getting attention, or like, is there a certain point where like certain songs start picking up?
I would say a song I did called "Drugs."
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that got me a little bit of attention. And then, what was the next thing? I guess like Echo. And that was like 2 years later.
Right. But you were always like releasing stuff kind of sporadically. Or?
Yeah, I kept putting stuff out for like my core fans
Right.
who like really cared and really gave a fuck. So, but yeah, like big releases though was Drugs, Echo, and then Empty.
Were you able to like tour off of that, or was you starting to see success from that?
Right before I put out my first project, I went on tour with this guy Alex Wiley from Chicago.
Yep.
And he was very nice to let me go on tour with him when I didn't have like any sort of following.
Right.
So that helped me out. And then recently, the neighborhood let me go on tour with him.
Yeah.
And that was crazy because Jesse Rutherford is a pretty big fan and a great mentor.
Right. But that was overseas and shit, right?
Overseas, and also we did the U.S. run.
Okay. And so that was your first time overseas, or at least first time touring, of course?
First time touring overseas, yeah.
Yeah. And what countries were you in?
We just went to the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Mind blowing. Like, how was it with the fans out there and stuff?
It was just crazy to see like some kids in the front row like wearing merch
Really?
that like me and HK had made or something. They're like just singing the songs and seeing how they responded was wild. We make all these songs in our bedroom, you know. So
and like fans out there are like they don't get to see as many like American musicians as often, so I feel like they're like super enthusiastic. Yeah, like they'll actually go and like look into your SoundCloud because they heard that you're playing, like even if they haven't heard you, you know. Yeah, it's crazy. But so at what point did you guys move to Austin? Like when did the Brockhampton house kind of transplant itself?
So yeah, we would like talk in a group chat on iMessage all the time back when we were in high school, and like we knew that we wanted to come to LA, but our engineer was going to Austin, San Marcos, and we decided to follow him.
Right.
And that was when like 2000 and 14, 15.
Right. And so for people who don't know, Austin's pretty much like the only like cultural hub in Texas, and all the fucking surrounding areas, people just flock to it if they're in any way interesting.
Yeah.
Basically,
it's crazy because we never left our apartment.
Really? Because you're just like in there being creative all the time.
Yeah.
So you're lucky you're in San Marcos instead of like downtown Austin, because then you're gonna be out doing drugs and getting fucking into fights every night and stuff. Like what happened to all my friends when we moved out there.
You lived there?
Yeah, for like 4 months, and it was the most insanity and violence and just crazy shit that I ever seen in my whole life.
Sounds wild.
It was bad, yeah. But so you guys move out there, and was it like kind of a freeing feeling, because like you go from like a super small town to kind of, and then all of a sudden you're in like a more open-minded type area.
Yeah, it's crazy. The place we were in was it was weird. College students and like old people. Our neighbors were like super racist.
Really?
Yeah. It kind of sucked, honestly. But
super racist? How, like really in your face, or just kind of like low key hating on you guys?
Maybe they thought they were being low key, but it was in your face, you know.
Yeah.
But that's also Texas, and
yeah. Did you experience that growing up as well?
Yeah, I experienced it, but I didn't realize what I was really experiencing until afterwards.
Really? In what way?
You know, like
just people not liking you, but you not thinking that was the reason until
or
later
people
on?
Saying they liked me because I wasn't like other black people.
Oh, that's
and me
always
thinking
that one.
Right, and me thinking that's like a good thing.
Yeah.
As a like 14-year-old,
right.
Not realizing how fucked up it was.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's a fucking shitty little microaggression that fucking unwoke white people always throw around. Is like,
yeah,
you're not like other black people. You know, I've heard that many times.
Yeah, it's a real thing that people say. It's crazy.
Yeah. But have you always been kind of gravitating towards hanging out with white kids, I feel like, because most of the dudes that you rap with and stuff?
I don't know. I don't know. I just met, like, niggas online and shit, so I really don't know.
Yeah, you just don't even think about it?
Yeah, because, like, you just see an Abby.
Yeah.
And it's not even their face half the time. It's, like, their favorite artist or something. And then you realize, like, oh, you're a black dude there.
And the internet, it seems like really even more silly to pay attention to, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's crazy. But so can we talk about your inspirations that you had going on early on? Because like I seen this list that it was Kanye, Future, Frank Ocean, Kid Cudi, and Tyler.
See, that was wrong.
That was wrong?
Because I never said Future.
Really?
But I fuck with Future.
Right.
I just wouldn't say he's like...
You wouldn't put him in that top category?
Right. Everyone else is there, though.
So I'm trying to think. Like Kid Cudi, when you first like get into him, what was that like for you? Did it go straight from Will Smith to Kid Cudi?
It went from Will Smith to Kanye.
Okay.
And then Kanye made me understand someone like Kid Cudi.
Right.
You know what I mean? And yeah, and then from Cudi to Tyler. I think, yeah.
Yeah, and then so from Tyler to Frank Ocean, so we can kind of see the
exactly
the lineage here. Were you just immediately drawn to Frank's catalog when you first started listening to Odd Future?
100%. Yeah.
Really? And what was it?
I don't know. I just remember when Tyler put up Nostalgia on the blog, and I was like, Wolves can sing too, or something like that, and I was extremely intrigued. So I downloaded it, and I just remember hearing Novocaine and like thinking how great of a story it was.
Right.
So yeah, I've been a really big
Were you
fan
rapping
since.
before that? Or were you always like singing and...
I mean, I would sing a little bit, I guess, like just because of Cudi.
Right.
Cudi made me want to introduce melody to my rap, so...
But so Frank like really made you want to go more in that direction?
100%, yeah.
And did you immediately recognize how important it was that he was like the first openly out mainstream urban act in that way?
Yeah, I think beyond that, though, I just finally had someone I could identify with.
Right. Did you identify to him as a gay guy before he officially came out? Did you always kind of feel it, like, even before then?
No. I mean, yeah, no.
Is that's not like necessarily the important part about like
I
what
was
you
so
love so
into
much
him
about
as an artist, like.
But so then, what's it like when it sort of comes out and it's this huge thing in the media? Like, oh,
Well,
Frank
then I
Ocean's
just like feel better about myself.
gay. Yeah.
Just because it's like, okay, that's, you know, like just growing up, you hear that gay is this, gay is that, and then your parents or whoever you grew up around like have this little box of what they think
Right.
represents gay, and then there's someone that comes out and I like really identify with, and it just changes everything for me.
Right, because you've probably been hearing like pro gay sentiments in the media and everything your whole life, and you're young enough that you always were hearing like pro gay rights stuff. But then for somebody you related that much to, who's doing the same thing that you're doing, making music, and
Right.
it must have been a really special.
Also grew up in the South, so like the kids I was around, like.
Right. Would you say it was like rampant homophobia around you at that age?
So much. I mean, I said some of the most homophobic shit ever when I was a
Right.
kid. You know, so.
When you're a kid, you're used to like throwing around that language like it really doesn't matter, and it takes, I don't know. It's like when you're a kid, I feel like so much of like youth culture is just about being as offensive as possible.
Yeah.
So the kids just go straight to like racist stuff, homophobic stuff.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Which is fucked up. But.
Yeah. What about your parents though? Did they have any particular like attitude that you remember about people with alternate lifestyles?
Just the normal like. It doesn't bother me as long as they're like over there.
Right.
Which is homophobic. So.
But do your parents like have you fully came out to them, and when did that happen?
Yeah, just through interviews.
But you know that they've seen them.
Yeah, cause like, the talks and stuff.
Yeah.
Phone calls, all that shit happens.
But is it like concerned phone calls, or is it accepting on their part?
I'd rather not say.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, what about like on a public level? Was there a time when you thought that you weren't going to talk about that stuff publicly?
Oh, 100%. It was my biggest secret ever.
Until when?
School. Until Channel Orange.
Okay, and that's what inspired you.
It just made me feel more comfortable. That's all. Because, no one knew this thing we're talking about until, kind of recently.
Right.
Channel Orange came out like 4 years ago. So
4 years ago. So
it kept going.
Did your friends know? Like your friends that you were making music with and stuff?
No one knew until I had a boyfriend. And that was it. Like, okay, he has a boyfriend.
And did you just sort of like, did you explain it to like these types of guys? Do you remember when you guys fucking figured it out, or did you already kind of suspect?
I mean, it was just kind of like whatever. Like,
yeah, we
not a
don't.
big deal.
Yeah, no one really.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of weird in these day and age because it's supposed to be this really big deal, but then when you think about like how most of your friends would react, I feel like if somebody in my friends group came out and said that, it probably wouldn't be that big a deal.
And I think it is a big deal still because a lot of people have to deal with like,
right,
a lot of terrible things that come with it, like your family not talking to you anymore, or just the homophobic things that people will say.
Yeah,
and it's hurtful. But I was lucky enough to have friends that didn't care.
right.
So.
Yeah, there's a skateboarder, Brian Anderson, and he came out with this video on Vice today. That was
today.
crazy, right? Yeah,
Saw that,
Awesome.
that was really cool. Fucking, that's a crazy one because I've heard of plenty of gay skaters over the years, but he's like such like a legend that everybody already like. That's kind of why I think it was such a big deal with Frank, is because he was already that guy in that moment. Like everybody was already looking at him and loving him so much that I don't know. It was kind of like a perfect person to come out and sort of break down that boundary in hip hop. I don't know. But so in comparison, what about this new album in comparison to the old album? The one that you did before versus this new one? Like what's the
Way more
difference?
focused on songwriting.
Right.
Yeah. And just making sure every line means something to me and will help someone.
Right.
In some sort of way.
Who do you work with on music?
This guy, Michael Uzuru, Jeff Kleiman, and everyone in Brockhampton.
Because like that the new song, Empty, It's like so
And
big.
also Roy.
It sounds so professional and just like large and in your face. And I was just kind of taken aback. Like, you're not signed with anybody. You're still working with your like homeboys.
Not
and
signed
stuff?
at all. Yeah, we just wanted to make a pop song. So
Yeah.
we just like we want to make pop.
And I was watching this older interview with you where you said that you're like we're mostly influenced by pop, and then somebody was like, yeah, like we love Fall Out Boy and shit like that.
Yeah, who said that?
I don't know,
I
but
think it was
ki-
you.
Yeah, I think it was him. It kind of had the Fall Out Boy vibe though. Like, I kind of got that from some of the sounds and that
Did I say that?
those big powerful guitars, or I'm not sure if it's guitars, but just those sounds that like sounded like a Blink-182, like around like 2003, 2004 era.
Oh, we were trolling in that interview. I just want to say.
But I mean, we're right.
I can see the
we're-
influence,
We're
though.
true
Yeah.
to an extent.
Yeah.
But just on how big we want everything to be.
Right.
You know, like we wanted that chorus to be big. So it's cool that you said that because
Yeah.
we did what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And, and what were we saying?
There's like a certain point where we're kind of like past like the whole like idea of like, oh, we want it to feel like it came out of a bedroom.
Right.
Which is like cool.
Can you get the mic a little bit more?
Yeah, it's cool, but we want it to be like these massive songs that like we grew up listening to, you know?
Right.
Like we loved those big Kanye hits on the radio. We loved all the big Cudi songs.
Right. Yeah, there's a big thing in the underground where it's sort of like when you're too broke or too inexperienced to know how to make your stuff sound good, then kids ended up being like really proud of that. And then there's a certain point where maybe it's
And that's
better
cool
to step away
too.
from that. Yeah.
Sometimes it's tight as hell to like
Right.
do it straight from the bedroom, upload
Yeah.
to SoundCloud, and the shit goes viral.
Right.
And it's like,
But if you can make something that sounds like it was recorded in a fucking bathroom and it like really like, remember like Space Ghost when he came out? Shout out
Yeah.
to Space Ghost. Like that was his like trademark. It's like,
Right.
listen how bad this sounds. Like, listen to this recording.
That's so
Yeah.
tight too.
Yeah, it's just like there's a lot of kids try to like own that, even though it's actually they're just real ignorant and they just don't fucking know anything.
yeah, I
But
guess it depends on the artist.
yeah, solely true. But so the title "American Boyfriend," what am I supposed to glean from this? Is that the name of another song on the album?
It is. Yeah, it is.
And what's the like theme of the album in general? Would you say?
Suburbia, heartbreak. Yeah, and just like this perfect person. That's how he like appears on the outside, but then there's a ton of like layers to this person and a lot of depth and secrets, and that's who the American Boyfriend is.
It's just sort of like a representation of that time in your life in particular.
Yeah, I mean, it's the football player in the video. It's Summer, you know. So
Was that who did that video for you? Was it a big decision to make such a high-end video and also one that featured you getting your dick sucked by a football player?
yeah, it was a really big decision, but it was also like I have to be bold and I have to do this and like, you know, stand by my vision.
Yeah.
So I directed it. HK and I did the edit. We did the color, and Michael Uzuru, the same guy that produced the song with Romel and Jeff, came up with the concept. We just had a bunch of conversations on the phone about just making something that was true to me, you know, and also bold. That's my whole thing.
So was it like a really, like I see you looking up to guys like Kanye who have these like big, bold fucking careers. Like I'm assuming you loved Frank Ocean taking his sweet ass time and putting that album out for 4 years, and then when he putting it out in such a complex way, right?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, like you seem like the kind of guy who's concerned with the album rollout and like
Yeah.
different ways that you
Even
can
Donald
go about
Glover
it.
is like excellent at rollouts and shit. So.
Right. So were you? Let's talk about the Frank Ocean release. Were you just like, just loving it every second of? Were you waiting in line for the zine and shit?
Yeah.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Nice. So, all you
All
guys?
three of
Oh,
us.
that's
Yeah.
tight.
Everyone here. Yeah.
That's sick. Did that project live up to what you were expected from it?
Yeah, it
I
was.
had no expectations,
It was beyond
and
everything.
it exceeded everything.
Yeah. Damn, that's dope though. But so, yeah, I don't know. It seems like you're. So you don't work with anybody on press, or you don't have anybody helping you out with your career? Do you have like a
I
manager
mean, yeah,
type thing?
I have a great manager. Yeah, I got a good team. I'm just not signed.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you had those kind of conversations?
Before, like Empty and everything, I really wanted to sign with a label. Yeah, and it just didn't happen. So I was kind of depressed, and ended up working on a ton of music and got my album to a place where it could be. So
Have you gotten like frustrated at times over the years, feeling like you were kind of grinding to a halt and that you weren't continuing to progress like in between?
100%. Yeah. I think that's a real thing that happens to artists where sometimes you don't know if you'll ever transcend or if you'll be something that's beyond the internet or beyond like a blog rapper.
Right.
You know.
Those are the kind of doubts that you're having, like that you might have just sort of like, because I feel like at a certain point you'll have a look that'll make your followers start to go up really fast or your plays start to go up fast, and then that'll slow down, and all of a sudden you feel like I'm not increasing at the same rate that I was before, and it starts to make you really doubt yourself.
Right. Which is why now I'm just like focusing on making the best art. So let that do its thing. You know?
Yeah, totally. Well, I'm fucking super impressed by all the stuff I've seen. When is the album actually going to be available?
I don't know. Definitely before the end of the year, though.
For the end of the year. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just a pretty powerful visual that I was pretty impressed by. Like, what other stuff do you have in the works? Are you going to be touring and stuff like that?
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I'd love to tour. I'm so focused on finishing the album, and yeah.
What if you put it out right now? Would you feel proud of like the
That's
product?
a
or you
great
feel,
question
or
that Michael always asks me.
Or do you feel like you really need more time?
I need more time.
Yeah.
But it's almost there.
Right.
But I need more time.
Are you gonna make people pay for it, or are you gonna put it on SoundCloud right away?
Yeah, I'm gonna sell it.
Yeah, that's dope.
I'm gonna sell it.
You didn't do that with the first project?
No, that was free.
Yeah. That's dope. Who has like helped you out in the industry that you have kind of gotten cosigns from? Anybody in particular that showed love?
Nah, no one really. Besides like Clancy. Right? Am I missing someone?
There's people like Jesse.
And Jesse.
Yeah.
But I said them earlier. But yeah, Jesse. Plain Pat. Anyone else? Yeah. Allen Kingdom.
Yeah, what's up with you and Alan Kingdom working together? You guys have worked together a good amount. Is he on the album?
We had a song that was gonna be on the album, but I ended up just like putting it on my Tumblr.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Alan's great. He came by the house recently, and we showed him the video before it came out, and I really look up to that guy. He taught me a lot about like just recording and writing.
Right.
So.
And you guys are sort of similar in that you're both like R&B type guys that are sort of, you put your stuff into like almost like a hip hop style format. And you feel like?
Yeah, it's hard to really box it in.
Yeah.
Put it in the box, which is cool.
Yeah, totally. So going forward, like what do you want people to get out of this project? Like, is there any particular way that you want people to feel when they hear it, or?
It's just a story of self-discovery.
See, look at that cat. Fuck. Right up there, man. He needs a friend.
That's fire.
Story about self-discovery.
Yeah.
Unrelated to this cat. But damn it, that's dope. I'm fucking personally really looking forward to it. Is there I don't know, what else should we talk about? Anything in particular that stands out?
You guys came here. What do you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, what do you guys want to talk about?
Somebody we didn't mention is Puya.
Puya.
Oh,
Puya,
Puya.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Puya supports heavy.
Puya is very big on supporting the underground.
Yeah.
He's tight.
It's
He
cool
is.
that, yeah. It's a good call.
He really like looks out for people and is always trying to like, I feel like he's kind of insecure about his, like, he likes the idea of like helping people get bigger than him. Like, from the way he talks about Suicide Boys and how he started working them, he was just like straight up to me, like on the interview, he was like, they're already getting bigger than me, so I felt like I would rather help them rather than like try to compete with them.
That's
And I was
real.
like, that's fucking dope as hell that you have that attitude as opposed to the way most people in the fucking music industry are. You like this?
What's this cat's name?
Tony.
Tony.
I am Tony Cat on Instagram, 22,000 followers.
I might have to follow him.
Fat, fucking disgusting warthog. I posted a photo of him today, actually. What about you guys? Describe his talent to me. Tell me about like what you think of his work and what makes him special. Sometimes it's better to ask the friends.
Just like the perspective, I think, is very important. Because what separates a lot of artists apart is this cat. Can I get this cat off me?
You can.
Tony.
You totally just shove him off. Yeah,
Tony,
he's.
get off me.
Yeah, sorry. I'm
sorry,
sorry
Tony.
about the white fur all over you.
Like not school dude.
That's a good look.
But like one of the reasons like we look up to artists like Frank Ocean and like Kanye West is because their perspective is so different from what your typical rapper, songwriter, singer-songwriter, whatever is doing, you know?
Mhm.
And I think like Kem's perspective and his story is something that like people really should hear.
Mhm.
And like Brockhampton's story is something that people really should hear.
Right. Well, that's dope. Yeah, I feel like the big thing about like a guy like Kanye or whatever is that like every time he comes out, it's like he has like a real new idea or like a series of new ideas with each project, and that's kind of the thing that separates him from a shitload of people and why we are still paying attention. You a huge fan of Life of Pablo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At first, no. It took time to understand.
Yeah.
I guess.
It was a weird one to take in.
Which is weird, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I really liked it a lot, and I think that the live show helped me understand it a little bit more too, even though I haven't seen it yet. But
right.
Just stuff I've seen online.
Yeah. Everything about what Kanye did with that was pretty crazy.
That rollout was amazing.
Yeah, the rollout
it was ridiculous, right? Yeah.
That was the tightest shit I've ever seen.
Because we spent like weeks talking about it every day
Just
without even
everything,
hearing
like,
it yet.
The notepad,
Yeah.
the MSG event.
The track was changing.
The track was changing, and then him updating the album.
Right.
That was probably the coolest part, the album title name.
Yeah.
And then Kim like throwing up polls like, I don't know, should we name it Waves?
Yeah.
It was just something like you've never seen with an artist like Kanye. You think everything is like so like
Right.
tight and under wraps and like controlled, and everything is super calculated. And it was just like really cool to see him be so like loose for once.
Right. Just to see this madman at work, just
Yeah.
fucking, and it's cool with technology that like he was able to keep working on it after the fact,
Yeah.
because that wasn't like something that was previously available to artists, and like that he's the type of artist that it's probably like little things on his album driving him crazy that he can't go back and fix,
That's so cool.
Even though I don't remember any of the particular changes that he made. Isn't that part where he says Puerto Rican Day Parade waving? Didn't he change that part? But what was it? Why did he change it? He didn't like talking about Puerto Rican Day parades. Those are pretty cool to me. I don't know.
The choir added
Yeah,
on
the
Father
choir
Stretch
added
My
on
Hands,
Father
part
Stretch
2,
My
or
Hands.
part
Right.
1.
Yeah. Well, shit. So the album by the end of the year, we're all looking forward to it. Anything else we should be looking forward to in particular?
Just stuff from the Brockhampton guys.
Right.
They're gonna like be super focused on making the best stuff they can make and putting it out, and just seeing what happens,
Yeah. I guess I should mention too, how do you like living in LA?
Amazing.
Yeah, I love it. I've wanted to live here my whole life. So.
How long you been out here?
Not a year. How long have you been here?
Like 6 months.
Almost 6 months.
Well, compare it to Austin though.
Incredible. The weather's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be like so cooped in the apartment
Mm-hmm.
in San Marcos, and now it's like everybody's outside. Everybody goes somewhere else like every day.
When we first moved here, I was obsessed with like going to the beach.
Right.
Yeah.
That was my
Yeah.
thing.
I'm glad I never got into that. I moved out here and just kind of forgot about the beach right away.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's good. It's really good. Like when you get into that, when I actually do like wake up early and go to Malibu with my friends and go swimming and shit, and then I'll remember like, wow, it is insane that we don't do this all the time.
It's just very. Well, living in Los Angeles, if I want to go to the beach, I can do that. If I want to go to the mountains, I can do that. If I want to go to downtown, see the city, I can do that.
Yeah, you got
If I
everything
want
right
to
there.
go to the middle of the fucking desert, I can do that. Or if I just want to like hide out in my little bubble and not see anybody for 3 weeks, I can do that too.
Yeah.
And most cities don't have that luxury.
Right.
You know, like if you're in New York, you're just kind of always going. You never really get a moment to yourself.
Yeah. Well, it's like in New York, technically you could go to the beach and shit, but people don't really do that. You know, it's
Yeah.
like people just stay in their sort of little bubble. It's just so much more of a pain in the ass to get somewhere that's
Yeah.
10 miles away down there than it could ever be. I mean, it's a pain in the ass here too with the traffic and everything, but yeah, I don't know. So where should the people look if they want to see your stuff, if they want to stay in touch with you? Anything in particular?
Just my Twitter, I guess, Kevin Abstract, or my website.
Stay in touch. Keep up with the kid. He's making big moves. Kevin, thank you very much for coming in. And
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you to the extended Brockhampton squad for rolling through too. Appreciate it.
Dude.
You dig?
Hey, no jumper. Coolest podcast in the world. Thanks, man.
Tell me about all this fucking fur on me. Me too.
Sorry about that. He's been doing that because I want like people
I was wear
all black. He's been doing that to me my whole life.
22,000 followers.
22,000 little cat, yeah. Incredibly proud of him. Impressive. He's come a long way. Shit.